Gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. It's Uncle Makara. Today I'm at the roof of my cousin's apartment right now, and pretty far away from my place, so I thought I'd shoot a video on the roof. Today's video is all about tapping into your infinite potential, and a lot of people say that as like a buzzword: tap into your limitless infinite potential. But what does that really mean, and how can we actualize that understanding? Okay, that's the real secret. So one thing that I've been really thinking about is that when you think of your mind, we have a lot of preconceptions about what the mind is and what the mind does. Some people confuse it with the brain. A lot of people confuse it with the thoughts in our head, right? And from the channeling last night, I channeled Padmasambhava, Guru Rinpoche. It was very powerful. So if you missed that, definitely let me know, because wow, it was next level. And as I think about the mind, what he was mentioning, which I thought was very interesting, is that the mind is clear and lucid. It's clean, it's sharp, and it doesn't have any agenda, it doesn't have any identity, it doesn't have any kind of preconceptions or notions about itself. It's completely free. And it's free in the sense that it gives you a natural feeling of inner peace and connectedness. There's no kinds of layers on top of the mind causing issues or trying to protect your ego or something like this. So in order for you to really tap into this infinite potential, you've got to start seeing yourself as multidimensional. You're seeing yourself right now in your human body, in this form, as you look in the mirror or something like this. But understand that how an animal perceives you is very different than how a human perceives you. You could also think in the terms of, wow, we can only see a specific band or light spectrum, right? Ultraviolet rays. However, beyond that point, our eyes cannot see that there's a hidden world out there, right? A spiritual world, a spirit world, in fact, that we can't actually understand or tap into unless we change our consciousness. We alter our state of mind to accept and allow that reality to take place. Now, a lot of the times when we get into an ego-driven culture, money, fame, power hungry, all this kind of stuff, we take away from that spirit, and that's where it's a lot of crashes start to happen, is when the ego takes on a mind of its own and it runs the software and the coding and bypasses whatever spirituality or expression or naturalness that you have. What was really interesting is, Padmasambhava was saying last night about attraction. What makes you attractive? And he was saying being genuine makes you attractive. Being sincere and real makes you attractive. Because you're not forcing that, right? Force pushes people away. That's anti-seductive, right? If you really start to understand that flow, that natural sense that you have, is actually one of the ways that you tap into your infinite potential. I've had to learn this the hard way, the long way, but I'm telling you, because I've experienced this in my own life. I've been studying the flow state for many, many years, and this is the conclusion that I've come to, is this understanding that, hey, there is such a beauty in not knowing, okay? I'm okay not knowing something and learning. There's a certain curiosity and a joy in that. And you know what? A lot of schools and stuff like this, they kind of beat it out of us, right? Like, where am I gonna use, how I'm gonna use a parabola to measure their circumference or something, you know? When am I gonna use all the stuff that I learned or I had to give in that exam, you know, in the exam hall? And we start to really take away from the applicability and the utility of our truest gifts. You as a man or woman, you cannot stop giving your gift. Whatever your gift is, you gotta keep giving it. Because that is your truth, that is your expression, that is who you are, that is the process with which you live and breathe, you know? And don't get attached to the gift like, oh, I'm giving a gift, but I now expect something in return. That's when it gets clunky. That's when the energy starts to work against you. You see what I'm saying? But what happens is, man, when I was younger and in school, I started to notice this within myself, right? So when I was a lot younger, I started noticing that the teachers would try to get me to learn a very specific way and do things a very specific way, even though my mind was just in my own imagination, in my own planet. Kind of like if you guys have ever seen or read Calvin and Hobbes, okay? It used to be this comic book by Bill Watterson back in the day. Or how Calvin would like imagine that his teacher would like turn into this monster and he was like in space. He was like Spaceman Spiff or whatever. And it's kind of like that. That's how my mind adapted scenarios and situations constantly in school, like growing up, even in kindergarten and things like this, you know, when I was super young. Even when I was in like primary school, I remember playing with like I brought like little action figures and the teachers got mad at that or something like this. So I was always kind of counterculture in that way, right? I was always kind of shifting against the norm, and I understood later that, of course, I was trying to fit in all of those years, trying to belong, but I realized I didn't belong. But then it was only years later where I decided it's much better in this world to stand out than belong and try to merge in and blend in with the background with everybody else. Because there's something very, very special about what makes you you, you know? There's something really special about that. And if we can look at those idiosyncrasies and really enjoy them and be like, hey, this person is who they are based on their experiences, based on so many other things, right? And if I'm there looking at them being like, oh, they're doing it like that, or I can't believe that they said this, you're not really tapping into your infinite potential, are you? But thinking in terms of infinite potential is like, hey, they can do it, I can too. If they can do it, so can I, you know? That's that abundance mentality. That's that feeling of tapping into that limitless potential. If you guys ever watched the movie Limitless, right? Think about this. Guy takes a pill, he taps in to his hyper productive self, his best self, right? He gets a haircut, he starts doing things different, he starts becoming sharper, Now this is something we can actually do in real life, but we don't need a pill, right? Everybody lives in this magic pill mentality. I need a pill in order to tap into my limitless self. No, you don't need a pill. You need presence. You need this ability to embrace whatever is happening. And you know, like right now, there's a guy yelling for like his product, whatever he's trying to sell, right? Now, if I let that get to me, and if I'm like, oh man, here we go, I have to wait for him to stop for me to click the video again and press record. Oh man, here we go again, right? Sometimes we're just complaining and we're finding things to complain about so others feel sorry for us. So we stay in that little loop of self-pity. And that's the only way that we know how to receive love, some of us. Okay, because that's what we've been taught. Is at the moment, something is going wrong, that people send me love or appreciation, right? It's only like when you're in a hospital bed or something that people are sending you flowers and like being nice to you all of a sudden, right? But when is it that when we're like slam dunking, winning a competition or something, or really crushing it in our lives, that someone is actually giving you flowers or congratulated you, Most likely they'll just be like, oh, congratulations on Facebook or something, right? So this is the thing. We prioritize our negativity over our positivity, and this is an internal battle. This is the internal battle everybody's going through. But to be able to tap into your infinite self, you got to understand that my internal world is vast and limitless. I can shapeshift. I can morph into anybody that I choose to. If I decide to shave tomorrow, I can just shave. You know, I won't be known as the guy with the beard anymore. Like, I have a freedom to do that, right? Not that I'm going to, but I like my beard quite. I might trim it, but whatever. You get what I mean, right? So I have a freedom to change my appearance, to change how I present myself in this world. But I also have a right to close my eyes and control my internal world. Nobody else can tell me not to think that way or not to feel that way or not to. That's my own experience. What do you mean? I have a responsibility for my emotions, just like you do. I don't experience anger like you or sadness like you. That's a personal experience. Okay? So if you're being reactive and you're starting to get into your emotions, understand that not everybody responds to emotions in the same way. Yes, we have that sympathy or empathy, that we resonate with someone who's just gone through something similar that we've gone through, or we see that from afar and then we don't make those same mistakes, right? However, at the same time, when I really think about this, I think, man, you know what? It feels like everything is pointing me in the right direction right now. All the signs are just going, yep. And all my spirit guides are going, yep. And it's very interesting. And I don't want to blame it on, oh, it's my enemy year, 2023, blah, 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 But there is something to that. I know that on February 10th, there's going to be a huge shift and a ripple of energy that's going to come through. And I feel that, And guess what, man? I love expressing myself on these videos like this. And for me to not do that, it would kind of have to change my normative pattern, let's just say. So sometimes, it's just so happens that I don't have time to edit the video that day or something like that. But then, as you guys know, I'll post like 3 one day or something like that. I won't keep you guys hanging. And that consistency, that repetition, right, really gives you a great sense of skill, right? After I've made these videos for so long, there's a certain level of skill, right, that's associated with making these. And when you understand the flow state, you understand it's between challenge and skill. If you're not challenging yourself enough, hey, you're gonna be bored. And if you're not skilled enough, you're gonna be anxious, okay? Hey, it's very challenging, but I don't have the skill to appreciate this. You see, I'm gonna get overwhelmed at that task. But if I'm skilled, and if I'm challenging myself at the right level, and I'm showing restraint and moderation when necessary, but also leaning into my edge, okay? So we often think that fear is the red light. It's to say stop. I think fear is the green light. It's what helps us lean into our greatness and our edge. My entire life, I thought fear was a bad thing. Fear was used to control us, right? Governmente, mind control, all this kind of stuff. But you know what? You have given them a choice to brainwash you. You have allowed that to take place. But I hold something very strong internally, and it's my mental sovereignty. It's my mental dieting. It's my ability to say no, that does not belong in my mental world and my internal world. I will feel through the sensations, but I won't get attached to what those sensations mean. Okay? I might get a spider on me and my skin might crawl. Hey, that's just my skin crawling. But if I start making it about my storyline and about what that spider means to me, guess what? It's game over. That spider's won. It's now attached to my spiritual reality and my own experience of life, you see? But if I'm like, oh, cute little spider, I just move on. Now I'm taking mental sovereignty. I've decided what that spider means to me. It's almost like the idea of the Bogart, right, from Harry Potter. I always tell this to my high-end students and clients that, it's powerful when this happens, because imagine, right, a giant spider, but then on roller skates. It becomes comical, it becomes absurd. you know? And I think absurdity is something that we can actually use to raise our frequencies and states around, you know? A lot of kids can tap into it based on, I think, well, the cartoons are very weird and like colorful nowadays, so it might make people actually like not function that well, because think about it, like back in the days, like SWAT cats, right? Very badass. Nowadays we have like, I don't know, Chowder or something. Not that I'm opposed to that, like sure, you know, watch anything you want, okay? Yeah, sometimes we just rely on cringe stuff, you know? But irregardless, okay, don't use it as a crutch. Anything that you use as a crutch is not going to be good. So, but you know, something last night which is very interesting is Padmasambhava asked us the definition of freedom. And when he was tapping into my energy, I'm the channeler, right? So I am him, in a sense, in that moment at least. That's my consciousness merged with his. And so he's like going, oh, but the channeler is thinking about a cartoon. Now, I used to watch cartoons and comics growing. So I used to actually read comic books growing up, and I used to watch a lot of cartoons growing up, okay? Sunday cartoons, it was just a religious thing for me, you know? I would see all sorts of characters. I'd try to mimic the voices and stuff like this, and it just became a natural part of my aura and beingness. And I think that that's kind of what makes me me too, like that cartoonish nature with which I live makes me feel free. And I'll tell you why. Because in a cartoon, the rules are different. The laws of physics are different. The ability for the characters to stretch, expand, and become limitless is different. So what if you started living with the rules of a cartoon, at least in your internal world? So once you tap into that, you're going to start to notice, wow, I now feel this infinite potential bubbling up. Because why? Because I control the images in my mind. Recognize this, and this is what I got from my mentor AZD, and I think it was the last Peace Camp actually, where he was saying, all you're reacting to in your mind is an image. Think about this, okay? You are feeling bad because of an image in your head. And it's usually what it is associating something to the past if it's making you feel sad. It's something that you're concluding about your storyline. Oh yeah, like in 12th grade that thing happened, you know? So you're going backwards, you're almost mentally teleporting, okay? But instead, what if you use that same image and then you start imagining the benefits of you continuing down your path and peer into the future instead of a very exciting, expansive future where anything is possible, okay? So an easy way to say this would be like dream bigger, but I don't even like to use the word dream because that's kind of pushing it away. It's like, oh, I only have to wait until night when I sleep to dream. No, I'm a dreamer through the day. This is all a dream, right? This could be Vishnu's dream for all we know. So I'm going to not limit myself so much, right? And other people will project limitations onto you, remember. A lot of times they will. So if they couldn't do something, they're gonna assume that you can't do it either, okay? So don't go based off of another person's opinions, especially if they're not an expert in that specific field or area. The reason why I can do these videos every single day, guys, is because I have a track record. I have statistics, right? I have evidence to prove what I'm saying, what I'm doing, how I'm living. So if you're saying, oh yeah, that's just a hocus pocus channeler guy, yeah, he comes up with stuff and he just talks shit on YouTube. If your perception of me is that, you have barely scratched the surface of Primal Sutra. You're like still in the, you know, you can't even get in, as you'd say. What was that song? Look at Me Now, right? It's like that Chris Brown song, right? You're looking at this video from the outside with no display picture, and you're leaving a hate comment? Bro, you're not even involved in this yet, right? And the people who are involved, whose lives have changed, whose families' lives have changed, let them tell you. I don't need to talk about me. Let my testimonials speak for me. Let the people that I touch and ripple and resonate with this content and this vibe ripple, okay? Let that ripple. Let the flow state upward spiral gang energy ripple across the globe and consciousness. You can hear it in my voice that I'm different today, that I've changed, that I'm in a high vibration, okay? And that's so, so powerful. I hope this video wakes you up today. Let's actually put your fist up to the camera, to the screen or wherever you're watching. Just gonna fist bump. Just quickly, boom. There we go. Oh, guys, have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary.